Hello and welcome to this game review. So this is a blitz game, and in general I would suggest not analyzing blitz games very deeply because there is no thought process that goes into our moves, it's only intuition. So when you ask how to improve the middle game, well, firstly we have to play with longer time controls so that we can actually think and find out what mistakes we are actually making in a position where we can think. But this is an interesting game, so let's take a look. So we get this Caro-Kann, and already we have set the middle game plan, and it is very clear. You always look at the pawn structure, and here white has the majority on the queen side, which means he should try to create a passed pawn on the d file, while black has this majority, which he cannot create a passed pawn with, but he can use it to gain some space on the king side. So the plans are set, so white develops pieces, and decides to castle queenside. Firstly, this is a tactical mistake, right? Because this gives up the pawn on a2, and sometimes we can trap the bishop like this, but unfortunately this will be checkmate. So this had to be calculated in advance, but it wasn't. But there's not real any reason to castle queenside in such a position. We can just go here and continue our plan with c4, maybe move the bishop, d5 at some point, and white has the easy play on the queen side. But instead, now we have to attack, and this is what white does. So now we are down a pawn, and black also has plans of continuing the attack somehow with our weakened king. So we have to attack ourselves. So white plays g4, which is a very nice idea, especially in a blitz game, just giving up the pawn, trying to attack. Black doesn't take it, and now g5, f5. White has gained some space on the king side. Now more pawns are pushed, and here g6 happens, so white manages to start an attack, while black hasn't really done anything on the queen side. So now the position is getting quite interesting. F takes, h takes, and now queen e2 is played, but this is somewhat of a tactical mistake, and again, these tactics will happen in blitz games, and this is the most important part of chess, is to be able to see the tactics. And here, after rook takes e3, white more or less has to resign because this is a fork on the rook and the queen, and the rook cannot be taken because of this. So this is quite a simple tactic, and I assume in a rapid or classical game this would not be blundered. So bishop e4 instead, but now white is the one who is winning with some nice tactics. After this, white can give a check and go knight g5, which threatens knight f7 and also the rook, which more or less ends the game on the spot. But instead this happens, one blunder after another, and white is again winning. Now we take knight g5, cannot be taken because of checkmate, and now with so many pieces in the attack and no counterplay for black, white should be winning. Rook takes c3, queen c4, and now white plays knight h7, which has unclear consequences as the knight will be trapped on h7. So unless we are sure about our calculations, we should not trap our knight. Instead, knight e6 is quite simple because now we are clearly winning the exchange, and not to mention there is a threat of rook f5, which is not really possible to stop. So this is quite easy. But knight h7, now the king runs away, queen g8, rook e8, and now black is the one who's winning because he has 2 pawns up, and also he can go and trap this knight, after which the position is very difficult. Knight g5 can be played, but the king will move, the pawn on f7 will not become a queen, and it is a big weakness. But again, this is a blitz game, so black plays rook f8, but this just allows white to take it and take the e-file, and now the game is easily winning because white has the exchange, and he will win the bishop by promoting to a queen. So quite a chaotic game, and there's not that much to take away from this because again most of the moves were made without any thinking, and we cannot really say anything about calculation because in a classical game we have a lot more time to think. And regarding middle games, well, this wasn't a very standard middle game, as here we lost a pawn quite early, so white started to attack, which is the correct approach when we are statically worse, down a pawn. We should look for dynamics by changing something about the position. So in that respect, you did quite well.